All right, shalom, shalom, beautiful people. It's been a minute. The Most High put this on my heart to share with His people. Way past time. Those of us who have been exposed to this truth because of their own heart's desire. You know that thing that people love to say, "Oh, God know my heart. God know my heart. God know my heart." You've been exposed to this truth, and you have chosen to go backwards, go back from what you were spiritually pulled out of, things that you were shown to be factual. You have reverted back to doing those things. Many of us who still hold fast to this truth have become complacent, lazy, have gone into our respective foxholes for those of you who are of military background. So I just wanted to bring this word to you this morning from the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12. Many of you may be familiar with it. I am reading from a older version, so most of you have the Bible app. At your own leisure, pull up the Bible app, find the version you're comfortable with, and review this video and go back over it. But I'm gonna begin with chapter 12 because it ends with something profound. So Ecclesiastes chapter 12 verse 1. Remember now thy Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them, while the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. In the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets, when the sound of the grinding is low, and he shall rise up at the voice of the bird. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low. Verse 5. Also when they shall be afraid of that which is high, and fear shall be in the way, and the almond tree shall flourish, and the grasshopper shall be burdened, and desire shall fail, because man goes to his long home, and the mourners go about the street. Pay attention. Verse 6. Or ever the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel broken at the cistern. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit return unto Elohim. In your English versions, it's going to say God, but I have to use the correct pronunciation of Elohim, because our people did not speak English nor Germanic languages or anything of that nature. So, verse 7 again. Then shall the dust return to the earth as it was, and the spirit shall return unto Elohim who gave it. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher, all is vanity. And moreover, because the preacher was wise, he still taught the people knowledge. Yea, he gave good heed, and sought out, and set in order many proverbs. The preacher sought to find out acceptable words, and that which was written was upright, even words of truth. Verse 11. The words of the wise are as golds, and as nails fastened by the masters of assemblies, which are given from one shepherd. Verse 12. And further, by these, my son, be admonished, of making many books there is no end, and much study is weariness of the flesh. I'm going to stop right there for a brief moment. The beginning is probably reminiscent of those of us who grew up in the church, and our brains decided to cut off when we hear so-and-so begat so-and-so, so-and-so begat so-and-so, and we didn't really pay attention to the lineage of who came from who. There's always in the Most High's infinite wisdom, the reason why this information was given to us about the so-and-so begat so-and-so was because we needed to get the purpose at the end. The same thing here, while these talks about the almond tree and the cisterns and mourners and golden bowls and all of that. There's a reason behind that, and we're going to get up to it. Now we're up to the part where it says the preacher was wise and still. So all of these things prior to that are going on, and it seems like, things are on a downward spiral, and hope is being lost, and people are just dying away, and there's so much chaos going on, hint, hint, present day, because there is no such thing as biblical times, because this book has not been finished. So we are still technically in the times of the Bible as it has been given to us. But Going forward, the preacher was wise. He still taught the people knowledge. Why? Because through everything around, those who have been given this gift by the Most High still have a charge to keep. No, we're not going to go into the old Baptist hymn, but you know what those words mean and where it comes from. You still have a charge to keep. So we leave it at that. So verse 12 again. And further, by these, my son, be admonished of making many books, there is no end. And much study is weariness of the flesh. We get so caught up in trying to be philosophers. Many of us desire to be morim, teachers, if you will, who have not been called by the Most High. You know, there is a certain zeal that we get when we come into the knowledge of the truth, and we just want to get it out to everybody. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the danger comes when you set yourself up to be something you haven't been called to do. And we get caught up in studying this book, studying that book, studying this book, studying that book. But I'm here to tell you today that there is nobody with flesh and blood that can write anything to give you better understanding than what the Most High has already given us. One of my teachers, he's an author, and his book is a complement to what's already been given. It's like it's like a sidekick to what's written. It doesn't overshadow it. It builds from within, and it pulls out what's already in the Father's word and breaks it down to a better way to understand it, because we all understand through different methods. Some of us learn by sight, some of us learn by actually doing, so forth and so on. So a lot of us have been caught up in this weariness of Dr. So-and-so writing this book, Dr. So-and-so writing this book, philosopher so-and-so writing this book, #1 best-selling author writes this book, and we forget the simplicity of the Father's Tanakh. We forget the simplicity of thus says Yah. We forget the simplicity of in the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Not Dr. So-and-so, not philosopher so-and-so, not best author so-and-so. And this begins to cause weariness. So we have to be mindful of that. And when we find ourselves being overzealous, we have to pull our own selves back. Or we have a Yah-minded spouse, or we have Yah-minded family members who say, hey, you kind of going, you're on the curb, bring it back to the grass. All right. So 13, here's my favorite verse out of this whole chapter. Ecclesiastes chapter 12, verse 13. Let us, hear the conclusion of the whole matter, fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Verse 14, for Elohim shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. Now, going back to verse 13, it ends with fear Elohim and keep his commandments, not the preachers, not nobody else's. Fear Elohim's commandments. For this is the whole duty of man. Not just the whole duty of Israelites. Not just the whole duty of the tribe of Judah. Not just the whole duty of the tribe of Benjamin. But for the whole duty of man, the family of Adam. Because Adam wasn't an Israelite. Abraham wasn't an Israelite. Okay? So, we need to understand that the Most High's commandments, if you call yourself a believer in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, his commandments are your whole duty. Your whole duty. Regardless of, oh, well, I'm Asian, I'm German, I'm this, I'm that. If you fix your mouth and feel it in your heart that you believe in the Bible and you believe in the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, not necessarily believe, but this is your rule and guide. This is your moral law. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. I find a lot of us forget that after a specific period of time, because we get comfortable, we put ourselves on autopilot, and we have a brain fart, as we called it in the Marine Corps. You have a brain fart. You forget that it is Yah that wakes you up in the morning, not your alarm clock. You forget that it is Yah who gives you the ability to go out and earn money to provide for yourself and your family, not you. You're the vessel that's being used, the vessel that was chosen to carry out the mission to the four corners where we live in. If you know me, you know where that comes from. So I just wanted to share that with you. We have to be reminded that the conclusion of this whole matter of living, waking up every day with breath in our lungs and eyes to see and ears to hear, that the conclusion of the whole matter is simply to fear Elohim and keep his commandments. We know where the 10 commandments are written at Exodus 20, but I'm here to bear witness today that it's deeper than the 10 commandments. The 10 commandments is literally a sum total of the 613 laws that was given to Israel. Now, I don't get into the debate on what about the animal sacrifices and out of this and out of that, because if you are a student of Tanakh, a student of Torah, which we all should be, you already have the answer to that question. You already know that we are behind enemy lines. We're not in our land. We don't have a standing Levitical priesthood, so forth and so on. So the ritualistic part of the law, the Torah, is not applicable today. Yah made it simple for us, though. Simply obey the commandments. Do what's right in his eyes. Keep his holy days. Eat the way he designed our bodies to eat. Treat one another as we should treat one another as outlined in the Torah. You know, don't try to screw over your brother for monetary gain. Don't mishandle, the sisters out here and everything. The basic stuff. The Torah, for those of you that are advanced in knowledge, you know that it universal law comes from Torah, because Torah is universal law. Some of you may get it, some of you won't. But yeah, Ecclesiastes chapter 12 is a deep chapter. It ends with simplicity, and it should be an eye-opener for all. I'm going to read verse 13 again. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Elohim and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Not just one specific people on this earth, but anybody who subscribes to the law, statutes, and commandments of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I'm saying God so that way you understand it. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. This is your duty. There is no gray area. There's no middle ground. There's no wiggle room. This is our duty, and we got to tighten up. We see what's going on around us. We see what's about to come up on us. What are we going to do? Shalom.